100.3 R&B Kill Sing checking in. I'm here with my girl Victory Boyd. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
I'm so excited that you're here. Technically Detroit to New York to Dallas. Dallas is in Philly. Yeah. Yeah.
Complicated, huh?
Not even. We love a journey. What?
Right.
So tell us, a little bit about yourself before I start getting into these questions, because we really gonna get to know Victory. I did my little research, but I'll let you tell our audience what's up.
Yeah. Man, well, like anybody's journey, it's not something that you can just summarize in a few sentences.
True.
But
True that.
But I will say that, my parents named me Victory when I was born, right? And that kind of gave me this responsibility to seek out victory in everything I do.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but the thing is, what it led me to find is that I'm not really strong enough to always see that victory come to fruition, and it led me to then discover that there's a higher power that's always strong enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Child, she came to the station, start preaching like, what? Hold on now. Okay.
And no, but for real though, it's like you try enough times to like win, and then you fail enough times, and it's like, man, you eventually learn you gotta try a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And I my experience is that it's less about how victorious I can be, and it's more about how much I can tap into the victory that Jesus already won for me. And
that's right.
so that's like what victory means for me. And so you're going to see it throughout my career and throughout the theme. It's like you'll see defeats, don't get me wrong. You'll see struggle, but it will always be answered by the glory of the victory of Jesus. And that's what this album that I'm releasing is all about. It's called Glory Hour.
Right.
I know we're going to talk about it.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, yeah, and I agree. I think, in order to have victory, you have to go through the battle.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree. I think that's beautiful. That's a great way to start. Have some questions.
Yeah.
So, I did listen to the Estelle show interview.
Okay.
I thought that was great.
Yeah.
I loved the conversation you all had and the songs, and it was so organic and so sweet. And you're from Detroit originally.
Yeah.
And Detroit, I've been there, and I know it has such a rich music history. Did that play any role between Detroit and being in the church? How did that kind of play a role in your?
Absolutely. I grew up in music culture, that the rich heritage of Detroit music, and then also grew up in the church. But I didn't. The church our family went to, it wasn't like a, shouting kind of church, which you would expect. That was the norm. Our church was different. They played the grand piano and violins and cellos and sang hymns.
Yeah.
It was just
right.
It was more like this. It was just a different experience that and all Black people.
Right.
So you wouldn't.
Right.
No,
for sure.
I'm like 6 years old, and that's my surroundings, and then singing classical in the choir and gospel and hymns and all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't exactly like the Aretha Franklin church.
Right. You're kind of getting this
church.
Exposure to classical instruments and to, like you said, singing these classical hymns, and not in a way that maybe can sometimes be over exaggerated or maybe stereotypical. Because I feel like this is
stereotypical,
super music theory. Like you said, your parents were the choir directors, right? So I'm sure it's more than just sing the song. You know what I mean?
It was less about how much you can wail. Although
right.
that's give me some Mary, Mary, give me some.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
That's my jam.
right.
But that wasn't necessarily me.
Yeah,
You know.
I understand. Okay, so I think that's cool. I think you had also kind of spoken about turning into a good listener. And I feel like becoming an artist and, seeing a lot of artists, everybody, not even just artists, right? With social media and how everything has changed, everybody wants to be heard.
Yeah.
But like, who's really listening, and how does that kind of alter your experience as an artist?
Yeah.
Going from maybe like, I want to be heard, I want to be seen. Not that that was your case, but, wanting to listen instead.
Yeah. Well, I am a firm believer that the quality of your output is directly correlated to the quality of your input. And if you don't take the time to intake, the intention that you apply towards the intaking, the studying, the nuances, all of those things, it informs the nuances that you put out. And, just there are a million ways to say a phrase, and to hear how different people say the same thing. There's really nothing new under the sun. It's just unique expressions of saying the same thing. And so it's really about gleaning from everything that's there and finding your own way of that you can really formulate your voice based off of just based off of what inspires you, and that comes from listening well.
Yeah, no, I thought that was just really interesting and beautiful the way you said that, just as a creative person, that like I want to just be a better listener, like that's like my new thing. So I was like, okay Victory, hold on, you might be on to something. If you could describe yourself in one song, like if one song was like, this is Victory Boyd, what song would it be? This doesn't have to be permanent. It could just be how you feel right now.
Oh, that's hard. Yeah, I mean, I really like classic songs. My favorite song is Bridge Over Troubled Water. And that to me is like a standard of something that has the power to make somebody cry.
Yeah.
It's
a beautiful song.
Yeah, but it's like it's to me it is a gospel song, but without preaching.
It is, right. It's like it's got those spiritual undertones almost, like,
yeah.
But like you said, it's not very like overt at all.
Yeah, it's like everyone, no matter what you believe, can accept the comfort of this song. And to me, it's like that's the story of a savior, like a bridge over troubled water. I'll lay myself down.
Right.
Like,
yeah. Okay.
So that I just always want to make songs that are that impactful.
Right. Of course. I love that. I think that's great because that song does have a crazy impact. I'm not the most religious person, but I know that song. You know what I mean? Like, and I grew up hearing it and all that kind of stuff. So, no, I completely agree.
Yeah.
So, some other things like working on Jesus is King, working with Kanye. What was that experience like for you as somebody that's kind of, and I don't want to box you in, but as somebody that's kind of always had this calling to this genre, and then watching like a really huge artist kind of make a huge pivot into something like that's more your lane? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, well, honestly, I wasn't doing gospel music before.
Okay.
I was doing like music like Bridge Over Troubled Water,
right?
It's like more covert.
Yeah.
And it carries, if you know.
But, yeah.
So, Kanye heard me doing these kinds of songs. He heard my song, Broken Instrument. And he's like, I loved it. It was like the gospel, but you just never said the name Jesus. And
right.
I was like, yeah, I'll be able to do that one day. But right now I got to, just, work on establishing myself in the industry.
Right.
And he's like, no, you don't. You can say it right now. Like, don't
right.
be afraid. So he was just basically getting on my case for, not being forthcoming. And I was like, okay, Kanye, well, shoot, man, like, preach.
Right,
man.
let's
Like,
do it. Yeah.
And then, so this was before he made Jesus is King, and but he started doing Sunday service, and so during this time he played some of his records that he was working on for me, and he's like, would you consider being a writer on these songs? And I said yes. To me it was like a dream. I thought I had to work up and build myself up before I could have a license to like write blatantly gospel songs
Right.
in the mainstream music industry. But it was almost like Kanye opened up that door, and I got to support him in that endeavor.
Right.
And then once the doors open, now I get to do this project, which is essentially it's a byproduct of Jesus is King.
Yeah.
Because that experience was so educational. Like, I mean, I was a singer-songwriter with my guitar, and that was the extent that I really did music. And now it's like we're sampling records, and we got like the beats got to be hard, like
Right. Yeah. No, it's a completely different like lane almost, but it's like it's kind of what you've been preparing for.
Exactly. It's like I was in boot camp with Ye. And as much as, sure, I supported him, that educational experience really supported me.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's what's so amazing about the experience is it's like, of course, like you're learning, but you're actually also supporting this like huge person. And I think that's what's so cool about creativity is sometimes when we are up and coming, we're like, I don't even want to say we don't feel deserving. It's just like you said, like, oh, I got to work my way to this place. But you can be an artist, X amount of followers, X place in your career, XYZ, and still be supporting somebody that's lived many lives, had many albums, many projects, many sounds. So I think that's super dope that you had the opportunity to work on that. And now you have it under your belt. Hold on now. They need to know the name.
Yeah.
Victory Boyd.
And it was, and I made a really big contribution to that project.
Yeah.
Wrote the lyrics for Closed on Sunday, well, most of them. Kanye wrote Closed on Sunday, You My Chick-fil-A.
Right.
That's all, yeah. And then most of the lyrics on God Is. And, even if I didn't do another project, like that one, I felt like I did what I thought I would only be able to do 20 years into my music career.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd be able to be that expressly clear about the gospel and be in mainstream and reach millions and millions of people. But I did it at 25 years old. And so
it's incredible.
Yeah.
So Jesus is King, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Was that 2020?
That came out in 2019.
2019. Okay. Crazy. Amazing. I'm like, sorry. The pandemic. I'm like, whoosh, what happened? Okay, so that was 2019. How do you feel like the music industry has changed post-COVID, right? I feel like we were in a time where things really felt one way in music. And I feel like of course, technically we're still in the pandemic, but I feel like so much has changed, right? Like TikTok like blew up. People are becoming stars overnight with one song. Like, how do you feel like, if at all, post-pandemic has affected your career? Also, because I know we'll talk about your new project, but you started your album in 2020. I mean, that was lockdown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think really it made a lot of people have to sit down and decide what really matters. And it cut out a lot of room for just superficialness. And not that those things don't still exist, but it's like the hunger for what's real is just increased. And then also there's like this sense of, it's almost like our systems were undermined. Like the government didn't have the answers.
Right.
Our schools didn't have the answers.
No, we were
Our
just
churches
all
didn't
like,
have the answers. Like nobody got answers. And then people who thought they knew what they were talking about, and then it turns out they didn't know what they're talking about. So it's a place in history where people's foundations have been shaken, and people are more open than ever to find something that is sound that they can cling to.
Yeah.
And for me, my entire world was disrupted, shaken, as for many people. And what I found during that time, the stability that I found was honestly the word of God. And I would just, for my own mental health, make songs out of scriptures. I didn't think these songs would ever see the light of day.
Right.
But then Rock Nation agreed to get behind me with these songs. And that's what this whole album is. These songs were the stability that I just meditated on in my mind instead of meditating on the news all the time.
Right, and uncertainty.
Right.
Yeah.
Who got answers, when we getting out of here, all that stuff. Like, I just meditated on, Psalm 91, hiding in the shelter of the Most High, under his feathers, under his wings, all these different passages. And yeah, and so I think that we're in a unique place in history where this project and different artists, the artists really had to dig down to find something to hold on to. And this is where we're going to start hearing what it is that they found. And hopefully the artists will have the answers.
You did all that meditating so that I can have the answers. Nobody else has the answers. I have. Right. So let's talk about Rock Nation. Let's talk about Jay-Z. Let's talk about your new album. So, what does that look like for you? How do you feel? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah. Well, honestly, I don't know of a lot of references of people that have been situated like I'm situated right now.
I know, we're talking about heavy hitters right now. I'm like Jay-Z, Kanye. I'm not talking about I don't even know, I don't want to shade nobody, but I'm not talking about no small dogs. These are big players in the music industry. So yeah, this is huge.
And what gospel artists are in these
clock it. She said, what gospel artist is doing it like me right now?
No,
exactly.
no, I'm not even saying it like that.
No,
though.
I know.
What I mean,
but still, she deserves her props, though.
No, but what I mean though is it's hard to understand how you're supposed to do things.
Yeah.
If there's nobody to look at, that's how I do it.
Yeah.
That,
like a path to follow. It's like a major in college or something.
Right. It's like I'm figuring things out.
Yeah, as you go.
Exactly. But I did watch this documentary the other day on Whitney Houston.
Okay.
And I saw a lot of similarities in her journey where she was positioned in the secular music industry. And she was insistent that everywhere she performs that she's able to sing a gospel song.
Right.
Because that was her heart. And so I would say that that's really the path that I'm more so on. And really trying to, the way I feel is I want to bring so many different people groups together that usually are not in agreement on
right.
everything.
Yeah, because in a way, sometimes religion can be polarizing, especially after the pandemic and just certain things we went through as a nation. All of these topics have become very I'm over here, I'm over there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just think that I'm walking a tightrope.
Yeah.
Because not everybody that likes me likes Jay-Z, and not everybody that likes Jay-Z would like these people that also like me. It's just there's so many different polarizing audiences that I have the opportunity to bring together and through this music. And my thing is, how do I do so without diluting who I am?
Right.
You know, like I still gotta be me and not be afraid of who I might offend, but also at the same time I need to know who I am clearly so I don't bend on
Yeah.
So it's basically the answer to how I feel and how I'm doing is I'm doing good, but at the same time I'm aware of, you know, the dynamics of the whole situation, and I want to be a part of music history and handle the platforms to represent everybody that I represent well.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so your up and coming project.
Yeah.
Glory
Hour. Yeah.
Glory Hour. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, what do you want to share? Like, what do you want people to, you know, you're talking kind of about building this community regardless of sometimes these polarizing topics or whatever. You really want to bring people together with your music. So beyond that, what do you want people to know about Glory Hour without giving them too much and with also allowing them to build their own feelings around the project?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll say this. Every 24-hour time period, we are reminded that darkness does exist. But we are also reminded that it cannot remain in the presence of the sun. As soon as the sun comes on the scene, darkness gotta go. Like, it's completely obliterated.
I love that.
And
yeah.
devoured. And so this album is about the contrast of, okay, yeah, it's nighttime right now. We don't have to pretend like it's not dark and that it's not sad and this is not depressing.
Right.
But if we hold on with hope and we hold on with faith and we wait for Glory Hour, the sun will come and obliterate every problem. And in the same way that only the sun can devour darkness. You know, you can't just expect to turn a street light on or to turn a megawatt billboard on and expect it to swallow up dark. Only the sun can do that. You know, that doesn't mean we can't make things a little less dark.
Right.
You know, we can always do that, but that role of completely devouring all darkness is reserved for the sun. And I believe in this project, it's a metaphor for Jesus. You know, it's like there's a lot of good things we could do, but no matter how many good, no matter how much good, sure, that'll help.
Right.
It'll make things a little less dark, but we can do better by letting God be God, you know, and letting him take care of everything that, you know, I just look at like the pandemic. Nobody had the power to stop that thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like an act of nature. It was dark. It was just sickness, all of this. But God is stronger than all the governments, all the sickness, everything. Is like nobody in their strongest power could erase that.
Yeah.
And some things are reserved for the one that does have the power.
Yeah.
You know, and so, yeah, I just want to provoke these kinds of thoughts and also inspire people to wait for Glory Hour, because it's going to come in each of our situations if we wait for it.
I know that's right. When it was Glory Hour dropping, like summer, fall, spring. Look, y'all don't got to wait that long for Glory Hour. That Glory Hour coming and it's spring. I'm here with Victory Boyd, the name to remember, the name to know. on 100.3 R&B Philly.